Hello, I'm Daniela. This is episode 24 of Historical Paranormal. There's one remaining episode left in season 1 until the return in 2020. In this week's episode, we'll examine the origins behind the Slenderman myth, what led to the 2014 murder, and some possible explanations. On June 8th of 2009, the website forum Something Awful held a contest where users edited everyday photographs to appear paranormal. A Florida man and user on the site, Eric Knudsen, photoshopped an eerie figure in the background of 2 black and white pictures of children, with a caption on the first photo reading, "We didn't want to go. We didn't want to kill them, but its persistent silence and outstretched arms horrified and comforted us at the same time." 1983 photograph unknown and presumed dead. The second photo was captioned, "One of 2 recovered photographs from the Sterling City Library blaze, notable for being taken the day which 14 children vanished, and for what is referred to as the Slenderman. Deformities cited as filmed effects by officials. Fire at the library occurred 1 week later. Actual photograph confiscated as evidence." 1986 photograph, Mary Thomas, missing since June 13th of 1986. This figure that he photoshopped into the photograph was tall, slender, faceless, and donning a suit. Knudsen drew inspiration for Slenderman from Stephen King's novel The Mist, H.P. Lovecraft's video game Silent Hill, and the tall man from the 1979 Don Coscarelli's cult film Phantasm. Later, people who viewed this picture were unsure how to interpret the motives of the figure in the background, and days later, like a game of telephone, people added other attributes to the figure, such as he had tentacles, he hid in the woodlands, stalked children, and caused amnesia. Rather than killing victims, he provoked fear in those who were unfortunate enough to cross his path, and he encouraged others to kill people rather than killing himself. The urban folklore of Slenderman spread across the internet, with other retellings on creepypasta, 4chan, Reddit, YouTube, and wiki pages. The most famed case of Slenderman influencing individuals happened on May 31st of 2014 when 2 12-year-old girls, Anissa Weir and Morgan Geyser, brought their 11-year-old classmate to the woods behind Geyser's home in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Their intent was to please Slenderman, with a human sacrifice being their classmate. Their inspiration was from a horror story website. Their intent was to become proxies for Slenderman. They had planned to carry out the murder 2 months beforehand, and they stabbed their classmate 19 times, and she managed to crawl to a bike path where a bicyclist saw her and assisted her. 2 of the stabs hit her major organs. Another stab almost hit another by less than a millimeter. She spent 6 days in the hospital. There was a massive manhunt, and both girls were found near Interstate 94, with a knife police believed was used for the stabbing in one of the girls' bags. In August of 2014, Geyser was ruled unfit to stand trial because of an early onset of childhood schizophrenia. Her diagnosis was based on the fact Geyser believed she had the power to control minds and could speak to fictional characters, like Voldemort from the Harry Potter series. However, later that year, in December of 2014, was ruled fit to stand trial. The pair pleaded not guilty on the basis of mental disease or defect. After 2 years, the Wisconsin Appeals Court decided to try both girls as adults because their crime was premeditated. It was later learned a deeper motive for their attempted human sacrifice was Slenderman would reward them to live in a slender mansion, and he'd spare their family members. Geyser described stabbing her friend. She didn't feel anything. It was like air. They faced a 45-year sentence for intentional homicide, and this trial inspired the 2017 HBO documentary, Beware of Slenderman. Geyser pleaded guilty in October of 2018 to first-degree intentional homicide to avoid prison, and Weir was sentenced in December to 25 years in a psychiatric facility. Some other strange cases involving Slenderman occurred in Florida. On September 4th of 2014, a 14-year-old Florida teen set her house on fire, and some believe it was related to Slenderman. According to Eddie Daniels at Pasco Sheriff's Office, who told ABC News she had visited the website that contains a lot of Slenderman information and stories. It would be safe to say there is a connection to that. Another odd case was in Ohio. In June of 2014, an Ohio mother was allegedly attacked in the kitchen by her 13-year-old daughter. The Cincinnati news station WLWT, "We found things that she had written, and she made references to Slenderman." The girl reportedly said she attacked her mother to please Slenderman. Pop culture has taken from Slenderman, as far as people dressing up as Slenderman on Halloween, Minecraft 3 incorporated 3 characters that had the Slenderman archetype of being tall and slender called Endermen. Slender the Arrival and Slender the 8 Pages were 2 games released in 2012 and were downloaded by 2 million people in the first month. Marble Hornets, a YouTube channel, debuted a drama series that ran between 2009 and 2014 and had 3 seasons and 92 episodes about Slenderman, with an average running time of 1 to 25 minutes to upload. This low-budget project was the brainchild of Joseph DeLague and Troy Wagner, and in 2017 the series took off with a following of over 520,000 subscribers to date. Some explanations for why Slenderman became such a menacing presence in the minds of many is that he's simply a generational urban legend. Every generation has its monsters and folktales. This generation's monsters for millennials and Generation Z come from the internet. Slenderman is a safe fear to have to explain the unexplainable in a world where there are so many issues already taking place, such as mental health, terrorist threats, and science can explain most of it. Sometimes people look for something deeper, and that could be the invention of a character or meme that comes to life. There's also the idea of the tulpa effect, with egregores and thought forms. A tulpa originates from Tibetan Buddhism and mythology and is a thought form of collective thoughts of separate individuals. They are described as an extra body that was created from one person's mind in order to travel the spiritual realm. In the case of the tulpa effect, it is unintentional creation of a tulpa based on a collective belief with similar traits. In turn, the popularity and spread of the Slenderman legend could have led to the creation of this monster or demon as a negative tulpa who influenced the minds of the vulnerable. A sub-theory of this is that perhaps a real malevolent force attached itself to the thought form of Slenderman and manifested itself in the minds of those that he cracked. And another more likely explanation is that those who suffered from mental illness, in certain cases, latched on to the archetype of Slenderman to explain issues around them, and it led in some cases to violence. I hope that you enjoyed episode 24 of Historical Paranormal. The season finale is next week, and if you are interested in other historical paranormal events, you can check out the Historical Paranormal playlist on this channel or visit the Historical Paranormal blog's website, and stay tuned for next week's episode. Thank you for listening.